Right, Les, here we are in your workshop for a special introduction video for a brand new bike project.
Yes.
Which you picked up from Hull, Mike in Hull.
Mike in Hull,
who
yes.
very generously has donated it to the channel,
yes.
Which is amazing. And what it is, I will just come back here, you might recognise it. It's another Kawasaki Z650.
Correct.
Now, Mike told me that he took it apart some time ago, but then didn't really get far with it. So I'm not sure what state it is. I mean, did Mike tell you about the engine? Was it running well, or? He
said it was running, and he just took the engine out to, I presume, paint the frame, or.
Yes. Well, I said the frame is not too bad, actually.
Actually, no, I've inspected it. There's, you know, it'll touch up.
Yeah, doesn't need to go for powder coating, hopefully.
No,
and it's got an exhaust system with it.
Yeah, that looks like a ZR7, genuine Kawasaki 750 exhaust.
Right.
And someone's chopped the on these. There used to be a plenum chain, a big chain power chamber.
Yes, and it's gone.
It's been cut off and patched on the inside under here.
Yes.
But it's a nice looking system. The things that wear on these are the clutch baskets, which we'd have to get Jeff to do. And this is going to be hopefully a pretty quick.
Yes. Cheap.
Put it together.
Yes.
And then obviously
get it on the road.
Once it's running, he can go from there.
Yes.
I mean, the bike's lovely. I mean, the only thing I don't like is this horrible seat. It came with the original shock absorbers. These are some.
Those. They're the Chinese. Everyone fits them. They're like these cheap Chinese ones, aren't they? I've actually got a spare set of white SS shocks that came off my Gussie that I'd never used. You know, so we can put them on if they're the right length.
Well, which were the shocks you gave me?
Same sort of thing. Yeah, they are Minoli.
Ah, sorry.
They're very similar, but not quite the same length.
Right.
But now I've replaced them. They're just sitting there, but they're brand new, so they might work. I guess the question now is, what's next? I mean, you're dead busy.
I'm really busy. I have just give it a quick visual of the engine.
Yes.
The common problem with Z650s is the oil supply comes up through a drill in here.
Yes.
Through the barrel. There's an O-ring between the barrel and the crankcase.
Yes.
And between the barrel and the head.
Yeah.
And they perish and spray oil out, and you always get oil residue here and here. Luckily, this one looks dry, so it might have been renewed in the past,
or
it hasn't just leaked yet. There's also a broken exhaust stud here, which is while the engine's in this position, I can drill out and helicoil and sort them studs out before I put the engine in the frame, and maybe even give it a wire brushing and
give it a
paint.
Yes, that sump could do with a bit of paint, I think.
Well, I always take the sumps off engines.
Yeah, just have a little peek inside.
And wash all the sludge out and have a peek inside.
Yes.
I always do that on engines I'm not unsure about.
Yes.
So that sump's definitely coming off.
Yes. Okay, and so you had a long trip to Hull.
It was a long day, but
well worth it.
Well worth it.
Yeah.
Mike's such a nice fella.
Yeah.
And
I believe he said he prefers the old British stuff rather than.
Yeah, we went into his workshop when we got there and had a nice cup of tea. Me and my friend Jay, who came along to help me load this.
Yes.
And while he went into the house to make us a cup of tea, I spotted some Vincent crankcases on his bench and a head. For a Comet, Vincent Comet.
Yes, the single,
So I remarked on it when he came back in with our brews. He said, "Oh, come with me." And he took us into another workshop built onto the side of the house, and he had three Vincents.
That's
a Comet and two Series B
twins.
Thousands, which were beautiful.
Yeah, I bet they were. Well, we know Bill, don't we? He lives near me. He's got a beautiful old Vincent.
Bill Broadhurst has got an old Vincent. Yeah, I'd love to ride one. It's on my bucket list of things to do.
I've actually ridden one.
Yeah.
And I wasn't too impressed, to be honest, but I think it needed a bit more work than
well, again, you get a good and you get a bad one. But I'm sure a nice one would be lovely to ride.
Yeah, the weird forks. They have forks.
Good rolling forks,
it felt very unstable to me, but then again, they probably all needed rebuilding. I guess it was all worn out. And I could have bought it for £6,000, but I didn't. Back in about 1989, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, 50, 60 grand for a big one. 8As are going for 250 plus grand.
Well, my worst not buying something was I could have bought an absolutely immaculately restored Ducati SS750 Desmo.
Right.
Beautiful bike for 11.5 grand. Back, and I could have afforded it, but I went off and bought Harley instead. And now they're worth like 100 plus, but anyway. I
saw my SP4 888 Ducati for 6 grand, and now it's worth 30.
Yeah, but you can't keep everything.
You do stuff like that, silly stuff like that.
The thing is, you kind of forget the ones you did well on, and then you sort of remember the ones that you don't do well on.
Well, this is true.
But you can't buy everything. Right, that's great. So there it is, chaps. There's the...
That's the start.
Yeah. And again, a big thank you to Mike for donating that. It's actually, I'm still in shock actually that he did.
What an awesome guy.
Yeah, very appreciative of that, and we'll do a good job of it, and we'll see it evolve perhaps in a year or two. But actually, I mean, I actually agree with him. I think the Z650 is pretty much on a par with the original Z1 in terms of how good looking it is. You know, it's just a nice bike.
Z650s are always overlooked.
Yes.
Everybody and their mother does Z1s.
Yeah.
And the prices have shot up.
Yeah.
But Z650s, I think, are the forgotten super bike. They are a fantastic bike.
Yeah. Well, my first big Kawasaki, my first ever big bike was a Kawasaki Z750 L3, would you believe?
Yeah.
And
well, that was just a bigger ball version of that engine.
Yeah, it certainly was, yeah.
And that morphed into the turbo.
Yes.
And a lot of people put the turbo in this chassis.
Yeah, I must say, I actually once rode, at the time a newish, a Zephyr 750 for a mate, just to take it to an MOT station for him. Yeah. And I thought somebody had unplugged one of the sparks because it felt so slow compared to my old Z750. I think it was really detuned. But anyway.
The engine cradle on this 650s, on the 650 models, is bigger than the engine cradle on the 1000 and the 1100. So a lot of people put Z1000 and GP Z1100 engines
like me
in a 650.
Yeah.
And because the engines are actually physically shorter on an 1100 and 1000, they go in easier.
Yeah.
So it's an easy job to do.
Well, you've got to widen the lower
I don't think you have, no. I think it's just engine brackets you
I think you need to move an engine bracket at the front.
It's just
of course, Jeff being Jeff, he didn't want to do it that way. He cut the whole down frame in half, but never mind.
Yes, this is true.
Anyway, so that's that. And now I think, Les, it's time for
cup of
tea. So we'll come back in I don't know when, a month or so, and we'll see progress.
Okay.
Brilliant. And now here we are, back in my garage on a very cold January night. And in fact, that first intro video we just watched was taken last April. And sadly, not much has happened with the Z650 since then. And indeed, here's my own very modified Z650 with the 1170 motor in it. And so what's happening with the other Z650, Mike's Z650, was that our original intention was to put the bike back on the road as cheaply and quickly as possible. You know, wouldn't worry about the finish and repainting it, that sort of thing. It would need maybe a few pounds of parts, you know, sort of chain sprockets, brake pads, brake lines, full service, that sort of thing. And I would provide the money for those parts, while Les would provide free labour to actually do the work and get the bike back up and road legal again. That was the plan. And the reason we would do that was because we were going to give that bike away to a friend of ours who currently doesn't have a bike. But for various reasons that I don't want to get into, it's far too complicated and long-winded, that hasn't happened. So plan A is now dead, and we've got to come up with a plan B. So I've been thinking about this for a few weeks now and had a chat with Les the other day, and I think we've come up with a new plan B, as it were. Now, the title of this video, and this video series, is a Z650 Restomod project. And indeed, here we have another Z650 Restomod project that is almost finished now. But with this particular bike, when it comes to a balance between restoration, and modification, this bike has tilted way on the mod side and way less on the restoration side, because apart from the frame, pretty much everything else has been changed. Different engine, different wheels, different swing arm, different forks, all different electrics, carbs, you name it, it's all different. And what I don't want to do is repeat this whole project again with Mike's Z650, because, well, I've done it once, no point doing it again. So we've concluded that I want to do this particular new Restomod project with a slightly different balance. It's going to be more restoration and a bit less mod, if you like. So at the moment the bike is sitting in Les's workshop untouched for 9 months, but in a few days time it's coming here, or rather the wrong chassis is coming here. The engine is staying with him because it's a bit heavy for me to move around, and it's easier just to leave it there for the time being. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically restore the wrong chassis, including the bodywork, the wheels, you know, the forks, everything. And we're going to do it such that it's going to be sort of, say, 70% restoration and about 30% modification. So it will be modified because I don't like standard bikes. We're going to improve suspension, we're going to improve the brakes, we're going to improve the engine by a huge amount, but that's not what I'll be doing. That's what Les is doing. And yeah, the paintwork will be redone at some point because we don't quite know the state of the tank. It might have some rust there, and also it's got these rather horrible sort of Triumph style Kawasaki badges, which we can't keep them. So yeah, that's the plan. It's unfortunate that our plan A couldn't work out as we hoped, but that's not the end of the world. We'll now do a plan B, and as I say, that project's going to be something we'll be doing slowly at first. I'll get the rolling chassis sorted out in the next few months, and then the engine's going to take a bit longer, no doubt, as engines do. And right now, Les is busy building me the big bore 400cc engine for the Mark II behind me, so that's going to be the big priority for me at least. Get that done, and then we'll worry about the Z650 engine in Mike's bike. I call it Mike's bike because it came from Mike. So the rolling chassis, as I say, will be pretty standard. We'll have better shocks. We'll modify things rather than just replacing them completely. So the front forks, for example, will get progressive springs and possibly modified dampers and slightly thicker oil. We'll probably make a rather nice fork brace for it, but I'm keeping the original wheels and the original discs and so on. But we will be upgrading the calipers and possibly also the master cylinder and that sort of thing. But the look I'm going for is that if you saw that bike from 10 or 20 paces away, and you knew about Kawasaki's and knew about bikes, you think, oh yeah, it's a nice old Kawasaki, that's a nice old, pretty standard Z650 from the late 70s. But only when you got very close to it, or you really knew what you're looking at, would you realise that it's actually not standard. It's been quite subtly modified, with a lot of the mods being pretty much invisible. And when it comes to those invisible mods, the biggest mod of all is going to be the engine, of course, because I like engines, we like to modify engines. So now, as it turns out, I think we did mention it in the intro video, I can't remember now, yeah, we probably did, but the Z650 motor is pretty damn similar in every way to the bigger Z750 motor. You can actually interchange parts quite easily. So it's been quite a common modification to get the barrels, the pistons and the head from a larger engine, from the 750, and put it on the 650 bottom end. But to be honest, I mean, well, you can do that, but why not just go and get a 750 engine from scratch and just put it in there and save yourself a lot of hassle? But that's not good enough, so we're going to go another step up, and we're going to get a 750 block. In fact, just ordered one, it's coming soon. We're going to get a 750, probably the GPZ 750 R1 head, because they've got decent cams and decent size valves and so on. And then we're going to give it a big bore conversion. We're going to give it an 810 conversion. That's pretty much the biggest you can go to safely on a 750 block. That'll probably mean it needs to have bigger carbs, so we can get all that sorted out at a future time. Probably get some carbs from, as I say, a GPZ, a 750 R1. I actually quite like that bike because I once owned one. So yeah, it's quite a sort of not powerful, it's quite a lively bike, shall we say. So when it comes to the aims of the bike, it's going to be to build the bike to look pretty much the same as a standard late 70s Z650, but make it lighter, improve the brakes, improve the handling, and improve the power. So it's going to be a lot closer to a Z1 or a sort of more modern bike than it would have been as left standard. And in fact, I was looking up the specs of a standard Z650 this morning, and it turns out, let me see, the weight is something like 210 kilograms, I think, compared to a big Z, which is 245. And the horsepower of a standard Z650 of the era is about 67 brake, which isn't bad really. And that's actually about the same as the newly announced this year, Z650 RS Retro Twin that Kawasaki have just announced. Now, obviously that's not an inline four, that's a twin. And when I looked it up, it turns out that's actually less powerful than the original Z650, but it is a lot lighter, has more torque, and I think that weighs in at only 188 kilos, which is pretty damn going. That's pretty damn good. You can see that's the advantages of 40 years of development and improvement in materials and so on. But if we can get Mike's Z650 down to below 200 kilos, which I think is quite easy to do, then it's going to be quite a lively bike. It'll handle well, look good, I hope. and we'll have a really cool bike by the time we finish with it. What I don't want to do is go mad with it like we have done with these two and spend an absolute fortune. And I mean, these are like, this is going to be about £9,500 when it's finished, when I get the bodywork back. The one behind me is going to be maybe the same. Don't know yet, don't know, but ish. So I don't have to spend in, £10,000 on a little Z650, even though it might be an amazing bike when it's finished. So we're going to be careful with the money. We're not going to, spend money like anything and just buy everything new. We're going to be careful. And indeed, I have been hitting eBay up. I've just bought myself a block. It's actually from a GT Z650. They're all the same, but the GTs are cheaper, so that's arriving soon. This one, on the lookout for a decent head, cams and so on, and also carbs. But no rush for that because, as I say, I'll be doing the rolling chassis probably over the summer when I've got a bit more room in here, when these things are finished, or at least this one is and the Guzzi is. That one behind me will take a bit longer, I think, but whatever. And once the rolling chassis is done, I've got to wait for the engine to be done. This will be probably, I don't know, second half of this year. Les is watching now going, what? I haven't got time for that. But I think by then the Mark II will be finished, and hopefully he'll have some space in his busy diary to build me an engine and get it working really well. So yeah, that's the plan for Mike's Z650. And so to finish off then, I'd like to thank Mike once again for donating the Z650 to our channel, and hopefully we'll do a cracking job of it when it's all finished. And I'm sure it's been waiting a long time for this video, because we got the bike, when was it now? Last April, it's now January, so it's been a long wait. But that's something we couldn't do anything about. And when I get the rolling chassis back here, we'll make a second video and go through all the modifications and work we need to do on the rolling chassis, bodywork and so on. And that'll be in part 2. So anyway, thanks for watching and cheers.